Okay, so what is the tag? Can somebody explain what the acronym for tag is? TAG. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Kaolapa, can you please tell the class what that is? Because I taught it to you last year.
Isn't it supposed to, you're supposed to like include the author, the title, and something else into the, what's it called? The topic sentence?
Yes, same. Yes, thank you. Oh, okay. So, as you create your claim or your topic sentence, right? You're gonna say something like, in the Crucible, right? A drama written by blah blah blah, right? Arthur Miller, and then you answer the question. Okay, so it should sound real academic, and for some of you guys who wrote the tag in your responses this weekend, thank you so much. Did you guys get a chance to look at your responses from after I graded? I added some comments in there. Yeah, Sophia, did you? I wrote something really good for you, so you better have read it. Okay, all right, so anyway, after the tag states the evidence, right? And so a lot of you guys did this in your responses, right? But what I'm asking you guys to do is not only add the page number and not only add in like where you found the information from, but I want you to take a really good look at your verbs today, okay? And so when you say something like, in an article written by Dr. So-and-so, he implies blah, blah, blah. So you see these list of words here. These words give more information than just the word says or said or stated, okay? And I need you guys to raise that level of your writing, okay? No more freshman language here. We are moving on up. Okay, following the evidence is the reasoning, right? And so you should add in your transition words like therefore, in light of, not to mention, for the most part, all things considered, and as a result. I think I told my class last year, but therefore is my favorite transition, so I try not to overuse it. Okay, but therefore sounds really smart, and that's why it's my favorite. And then after, you're gonna conclude. You're gonna have a conclusion statement that reminds the reader of your claim, okay? And I hope you would drop either some kind of metaphor or some kind of other way to say it than just repeating yourself, okay? So here's the prompt that we're going to work on today in class. So it says, after reading about the historical context of the Crucible, what lesson can we apply to 1692, 1953, and our present day, right? So you guys looked at those two slideshows, correct? And some of you guys even looked at the Ed puzzles, which is really good. I'll talk about Ed puzzle in a moment, okay? So make sure, and if you didn't finish looking at these slides, that's where I'm expecting you guys to do that sort of asynchronous learning, right? Is that you're looking at these slides and you're learning like how you would normally learn if you're watching a YouTube video on your own time, right? Okay, so as we do this, you need to search for a common thread, right? You're also thinking about what is that lesson that you can apply to these 3 time periods, right? So there's a lot going on in this one prompt, right? We have these 3 time periods. Then you're thinking, okay, what lesson permeates through all of these 3 dates, right? I mean, we could just put 2020 there, it's fine, okay? So search for a common thread. As I do this, okay, I'm just gonna show you, you're going to be answering this question in a moment, okay? But below that, what I have here is an example, okay? And I took out the answer because I want you to answer it, okay? So this is what it should kind of sound like, right? After learning about the historical context of the drama, The Crucible, a lesson of blank is a common thread. It should say red. thread to 1692, 1953, and our present day of 2020, right? So you hear the tag, you hear the keywords, I'm answering the question. Okay, so in the chat, okay, we learned about the witch trials and McCarthyism, right? Okay, what, in the chat, go ahead and write, okay, what would be the lesson that you got out of both of them that you can apply to today? What lesson would that be? This is just a phrase, don't overthink it. It can be a theme, okay? What is it? Oh, I like that, Jaden, very good. Don't give in to the hype. Oh, we love sheeple. Is it okay to be a sheeple at times? I don't know. I've been wondering when it's good to be a sheeple and when is it not good to be a sheeple. You guys know what sheeples are? Okay, Jaden, very good. Elise? Oh yes, paranoia, also known as hysteria, right? Okay, what else? Don't overact to a situation. Yep, Sophia. Okay. Oh yes, Jaden, yep, MPI, like how you're telling me. Very good. Don't be mean to people for no reason, right? Okay. Feminism. You're like the second or third student today who said feminism, Lindsay. Can you talk about that just for a bit?
Okay. I only put that though because like it's even all over social media too, because of the whole the Black Lives Matter thing, and then how women have it worse, especially even if you are Black and you're a woman, and how like, yeah, I guess just it's so unfair for women, and like things are just different for women in every way compared to men. Like they think they have it bad, but it's like being a girl for a day.
Okay, so thank you for further explaining. Don't be a follower. Yes, okay, Journey, very good. Don't getting punished for things that aren't right. Yeah, it's really weird. Okay, so Lindsay, I like that you said feminism, because you're right. There is that common thread throughout these three time periods. We have the really like the disproportionate social class of females, right? It goes married men. Who remembers this? It goes married men in the Puritan society. Married men, then what?
Married woman, right?
Single men, married women, and then what? Who's at the
Children.
Children, right? And the children are to be seen and not heard, right? And they're supposed to sit in their church for at least 3 to 4 hours without going to the bathroom. It's pretty intense. Okay, who could do that? I gotta use the bathroom. I do that. I gotta use the bathroom. Okay, whatever. All right. This is important, okay, to understand this. And you can change your answers from the chat. It's okay, right? But going back to the CER format, this paragraph, right? After learning about the historical context of the drama, The Crucible, a lesson of blank is the common thread, right? And so for me, what I'm going to talk about is the cancel culture, right? The lesson of not following the mob, right? So this mob mentality. Have you ever heard of that? Mob mentality, right? Don't just follow blindly, but also that the cancel culture, there's some positive to that. So I have to figure out how to further explain that in my reasoning, right? So I'm going to talk about a lesson of the cancel culture is the common thread, okay? And then I'm going to drop this New York Times article. Anybody know who Amy Cooper is? Do you guys, anybody remember? There was this lady, Amy Cooper, and then this man.
Is that the lady from Pitch Perfect?
No. She was walking her dog in, is it? I don't know. She was walking her dog in Central Park in New York City. And this guy, Christian Cooper, who was, who really was like just enjoying, he was birding. Do you know what birding is? Yeah. If you've seen the Umbrella Academy, the lady, the waitress birds. She birds. Birding, watching birds, hearing birds, and then checking them out. So Christian Cooper was birding in Central Park. And Amy Cooper was walking her dog. And I guess Christian Cooper asked Amy, they're not related, by the way. Okay, Amy Cooper is this white lady, and then Christian Cooper is this black man. So already there's like this racial tension, right? And so she refuses to tie up her dog and instead calls the police and accuses him of endangering her. So then Christian Cooper videos Amy. And what happens is it goes viral, right? Christian sends it to his sister. Her sister sends it out. And now Amy Cooper's life as you know it has basically been canceled. Okay. She loses her job, all of it, right? Some say rightly so. Some say that shouldn't have happened to her. Okay. I'm not going to tell you what I think because that's irrelevant. Okay, but what I'm wanting to talk about is this, grabbing another piece of evidence. So how do you do that, right? You got to do a Google search. You got to find something that's important, that is relevant, okay, that anchors your understanding of how it's connected to the present day, right? So what I did was I grabbed this article on Amy Cooper, okay? So you can click on this. Did you guys click on this link? It's right here at the bottom. So when you click on that, you can read the article, okay? And then I grabbed a direct quote, okay? And it's right below. So it says, according to the New York Times article, right? So you kind of hear a tag there. I'm telling you where I got the information from. According to a New York Times article, Amy Cooper faces charges after calling police on Black Bird Watcher. Falsely accused Christian Cooper of endangering her life after being asked to put her dog on a leash. Cooper's lawyer reported that as a result of the cancel culture epidemic, she lost her job, her home, and her public life. Okay, so that would be the E in the CER, right? After the E, now this is what I'm checking. I'm checking to see how you can add in the reason why the piece of evidence supports your claim, right? So it says, this clearly shows that many have what? Blank as a result of blank. So here is where I would further explain, right? This clearly shows that many what? Many people from the public have what? Have written in, right? Have called for her resignation from her job. And as a result, right, the cancel culture is what? Is present in today's life. Just like how, what? We have the Salem witch trials if they were accused, just like how we have Joe McCarthy putting people on the blacklist and accusing them of communism, right? So what we have here is we have this tie. And then I'm going to conclude with, therefore, the common thread of the past is that still it is a timeless lesson, right? It is a timeless lesson is what, right? I gotta fix this part over here. But what is the timeless lesson, right? That the mob mentality has its, right, good and bad, right? That is, you have to be careful about mob mentality. Or maybe I'll talk about the cancel culture as the lesson. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm kind of giving you this like this shell of how to go about responding to this. So let's go into our canvas. Okay, so let's go into the canvas, and then I'm going to share my screen with you. So if we could just half our screen, that'd be awesome. Okay, so I'm gonna go into the modules. I opened up today's modules for you this morning. And what we have here is we have the Crucible pre-reading activity, right? And then we wanna talk about, first of all, how do you know when something is true or false, right? So pre-reading, all good. What I want to do is I want to call in some people. Just think about it for a moment, and then I'll just call in a couple people and then we'll move on. But when you're reading something or when you're looking at something on the internet, right, on your social media, I don't know, I guess the running joke is now I get all my news on TikTok. Okay, but how do you know it's credible or if it's just some baloney, right? I mean, does it smell like baloney? Does it smell like fried bologna? Because that's pretty good. That's a favorite of my childhood. Okay, so Journey, how do you know that, you know, there's a red flag to something that you're looking at on like social media or on the internet?
So like on the internet, I'm doing research on like schoolwork. I would either like look for probably grammar errors or like if they're advertising anything. Then I wouldn't really trust it because yeah, that's pretty much it. Either that or what was it called? We used to do something back last year. I forgot what it was though.
I think it's called the crap test.
Yeah.
Right. Do you remember what that was?
Not really.
Yeah, let's look it up. Go ahead and Google it. Zoom is crazy. It's like I can't see sometimes and I need to see. Oh my gosh. Okay, what's the crap test?
CRAP test is an acronym for currency, relevance, authority, accuracy, and purpose.
Right. Okay, so this crap test is really important. This should help you to kind of sort out what is going on, right? Is this like credible information? Is it timeless? Does it stand the test of time? Is it relevant? Does it fit what you're trying to look for? Is there an authority? Is there like research behind the actual article that you're looking at? Accuracy, reliability, and correctness of the information. I mean, like, it's kind of like when we're looking at the reports on the COVID count in Hilo, right? Sometimes it's like two different numbers from the Department of Health saying, like, I think one day they said 4, right? And then Civil Defense said it was 7. And I'm like, well, which one is it, right? And so there's this like, I don't know what you call it, an inconsistency of information, right? So that's where you have to go further into your research. And then the purpose, reason the info exists. So what Journey talked about was really, the intent also. I think that's what you mentioned first. Is that correct, Journey? Like, why was is somebody trying to sell something? That's weird. Okay, what else is a red flag? Sierra, what else, when you look at an article, what is a red flag for you when you're thinking, you know what, I should abandon this article and look for something else?
Like the title, if it sounds like super bad, or like if it's just trying to pull people in to click on it, and then the article, and you like read it, and then you read some of it and it's not what it seems.
Right. sometimes the headline doesn't match the article. It's really a bizarre thing that it's not even like the title of what's actually happening. So that's a really good point. What else? Let's figure out. Sophia, what about you? What is a red flag for you that tells you, you know what, maybe I should abandon this?
Anytime that like it may have some things that you know are false. Like sometimes you'll read other things that'll be like, just like the COVID test, for instance. Like,
Okay.
You'll read like, oh, civil defense has this many cases, but then you'll find a new article like on Instagram or something that says Big Island has like 400 cases, and you're just like, okay, well that makes no sense.
Right. And really an established entity of like the Department of Health or CDC or something like that should be incorporated into that article, right? Dylan, what else? What else is a red flag for you to say like, maybe that's not a good article to choose?
It's usually when I go to like the sources where they get the information from, and it's from some websites that I've never even heard of, and you don't get it from like CBS or other big news stuff.
Right, good point. So most articles, when they reference other research or other credible sources of information, at the very bottom, you'll see a list, right? A works cited page of sources of information. That is really good. Check that out as well. And then I guess, Cadence, what about you? What is a red flag for you when you're looking at information that may not be credible?
I guess like how everyone else was saying, that like you gotta make sure there's I forgot what I was just saying, sorry.
Okay. Anybody else? Red flags. Okay, so a couple other things actually, which were kind of mentioned, and first one is bias, right? If there is a slant to the article, right? And I think Sierra and Journey actually kind of mentioned it, but if there's a slant, if you're feeling like the article is slanting to one way, is leaning towards one way or the other, or they're trying to convince you of current events, then that's probably not a credible source of information, right? And another one would be when the article only presents one side, right? When that happens, you get out of there as fast as you can. Okay, you're going to see a lot of posts because we're in that election cycle, right? We're in the election season right now, and you're going to hear a lot, and you're going to see a lot of posts that may not be true because it's all about how bad one other person is, right? There needs to be side-by-side comparisons, right? Especially with news for some reason. I want you guys to be very aware of what you're looking at or what you're reading, right? Are there multiple sources of information, right? And is someone trying to like ruin the reputation of someone else, right? I mean, that alone, you should be like, well, aren't you supposed to be reporting on the actual event and not trying to explain to me why I should or shouldn't be divided on this situation, right? If the article or whatever you're looking at on social media is trying to play you to get to be on one side or the other side of an issue, then get out of there as fast as you can. Like somebody farted, okay? Like just get out of there, like go back, okay? All right, so, and the reason why I'm talking to you about this is because of McCarthyism and also the Salem witch trials, right? So I'd like you guys to write down the word hysteria, right? So what is hysteria, right? Kalai, what is hysteria? Do you know off the top of your head? Did we lose him?
No.
Okay. So Kalai, what were you saying?
Oh, I said, off the top of my head, when I think of hysteria, I think of like crazy.
Okay, very good. Right. What else? Let's see. I mean, what else would you say, Anna? What is hysteria to you? Is she not there, Anna? Anna, can you hear me? Okay, I cannot hear you.
Is my mic can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can hear you. I feel like an old lady when I can't hear you. I'm like, huh? Okay.
I don't really know off the top of my head.
Ah, okay. Hysteria, right? I mean, like, oh, what would that be like? You know when there was that, like, missile crisis, right? And people were just like, ah! That would be kind of it, right? Hysteria can also be drawn out in a number of ways, right? Like, the terrorists are coming, right? So it's when people stop thinking and start reacting, right? We wanna focus on how people react during difficult times, okay? And this is really important. So when we look at this, right, I'm still sharing with you, I believe, the first part of this module, right? So how do you know when something is true or false? Well, there's some red flags, right? And so the essential question, right, is the question that we're talking about, right? And that is, what does McCarthyism of the 1952, 1953 have to do with the Salem witch trials of 1692 and today's social and political context, right? So as we go through this today, just think about that, okay? I gave you a video for you guys to watch later on, for you to get some like deeper understanding of McCarthyism and that era. Okay, there's some terms. So the first term I want to talk about is dramatic exposition. So do you guys have your textbook? Okay, just want to point out on page, yeah, I guess it's on page 1234. On page 1234, we're going to start with this dramatic exposition, which is the overture of this play. So I'm just going to let you know that dramatic exposition is a really long and critical piece of a play that is sometimes added to the beginning to set the play's time and place, the characters, and even the historical or social context. So today when we start reading this, we're going to learn all about their interesting ways of the Salem witch trials. Okay. The next word below dramatic exposition is inculcation, right? Teaching by repetition. So I don't know, if I just kept telling you, I don't know, communists are bad, and anytime I get the chance to say that communism is bad, that would be inculcation. Okay, I'd be inculcating you, and that's not a good thing. Okay, so the next word is litigious, and that is lacking moral restraint. So these are just a couple words that if you see the right time to add these words in, I would add these words in, okay? All right, let's hit the next button. So go ahead and watch that video later on. Okay, so let's get started. I'm gonna give you guys about 5 minutes, okay? 6 minutes, let's do 6 minutes. It says, so this is the historical context discussion that we were talking about, right? So as you guys know, we're trying to build this common thread with these 3 time periods. I need you guys to start another tab and then Google something that you know for certain is linked to your common thread of these 3 time periods. Okay, so I'm gonna stop my share screen so that okay, so maybe so Elise, when you're talking about shouldn't be so paranoid, maybe you look up something that is currently making people super paranoid. Okay. Don't let things blow out of proportion. So kaolapa, find something that you're like, you know what, it's happening now. Okay. Everybody understand what they're doing? Can you just press the thumbs up button? Or I guess you could show it to me. Bing. Equal rights. Makaya, does that mean like people are still fighting for equal rights? Okay. So Cadence, what are you thinking about that is occurring right now that's talking about women's rights or that women are evil?
I was just thinking like how I don't know how to explain it, but just rights in general, I guess. Like how Black Lives Matter, those kind, and then like other stuff.
Can you find an example that maybe someone mistreated somebody and then?
I have a question.
Yes, Lindsay.
So like the trans women, is that like something different with feminism, or because they go through struggles, but like it's like that struggle and then they have another one because they're trans women, they're not born.
Right. I think you can zoom out a little bit and just talk about the mistreatment of,
okay,
like stereotyping maybe.
Yeah.
Or like gender assigning, you know, and other people try to give people expectations because they are this or that.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Perfect. Anybody else need help finding a topic or theme? Yes, Sarah.
I don't really. Oh wait, the phone is ringing.
Home phone? I haven't had a home phone in like 20 years.
I don't really know where I don't know what to do. Like, I don't know what I should talk about.
Okay, so what were from 1692 and from 1953, what were, you know, those 2 slideshows that you were looking at, you took a look at? What was like a lesson that you could pull out from those 2 time periods?
Just like following the crowd and what everyone else doing, and like clouds your judgment.
Right. Okay, so like that mob mentality, right? I'm just trying to think of maybe like something that like jumping on the bandwagon, right? Like sometimes it's good to jump on the bandwagon. Sometimes it's not, right? You just gotta know when the time is right. Like if it's for the sake of your community, I would hope you would jump on that bandwagon. But if it's just to be counterculture, then that's different, right? Okay, so what do you think? Do you know where Just Cruising Coffee is? What happened with Just Cruising Coffee like this past week or so, last week?
Coronavirus.
What about coronavirus?
Somebody had it.
Okay, and what was the follow-up article on that? Do you know? Right. So it spread like wildfire, right? Through the community. Right? That somebody, a worker at Just Cruising Coffee had corona. And then this past weekend, Tribune Herald actually set the record straight and said that there was nothing of that sort that happened, right? But the moment somebody gets on social media and starts spreading that, right, it just, and so people stop going, or, you know, and then, you know, so that would be an example. You could look up what happened there, right? Does that help you, Sierra? Right? Even like something like not doing your research, yeah, or believing the crowd, right? Like McCarthyism, right? He just said, yeah, they're communists, right? And if somebody didn't agree with him, he would just accuse them of being communists. And there's no way to, there's really no way to prove that you're not, because you can't prove something that you're not. It's really an interesting thing. Like, I don't know, in that way. Okay, anybody else? So Sierra, find something, like go ahead and like maybe jump on like a news organization, NPR, something like that, okay? Tribune Herald, to find maybe what's happening, and then maybe you can find an article that kind of talks about that. Okay. Elise, yes?
Where were you supposed to put this?
Did you find your article?
Well, no, but like, where are we supposed to put like our response?
Okay, so you know that go back to your Canvas, and what I did was I kind of posted I posted the Arthur Miller, the Crucible, and then if you scroll down, there's the reply. So do you see the reply? Do you see it?
Oh.
I'm gonna be typing. So what I would suggest is having the CER format worksheet on the side, and then the module with the discussion. Do you know where I'm talking about?
No.
Side by side.
Is this supposed to be the historical context connections discussion?
It could be about, it's just a, yes, the historical context connection discussion. So the question is at the bottom, and then there's the reply box below that. That's where you're typing that in. Okay. Tiara, you got it? You guys look like you're lost. Are you guys okay? I feel like I confused you. We're just typing into the discussion board. Okay, what we're doing is we're practicing just a quick CER. Elise, are you okay?
No, do I look okay?
No, that's why I'm asking.
I still don't know where we're putting that. I don't.
Okay. Elise, do you see this? Yes? Find it. It's like the second, yes?
Yes, I see it. I have glasses now. Oh, thank you. Thank the Lord.
or me, my name is not the Lord. You can just say, thank you, Miss Copperfield. Is anybody stuck? Okay, good. So I think this is going to take you about 6 minutes to just write out. You should be good with like somewhere around 5 to 6 sentences. Can you finish that in the next like 6 minutes or so? Thank you for the response, Sophia. I appreciate it.
Wait, so is it supposed to be from around those times and now? So basically, find two things.
Just find that can help us get through like similar times like in the past and then to now, right? So what is that one lesson that we can take? So for me, when you look at my CER example, the lesson that I would choose would be something like to beware of mob mentality. Does that make sense? And then I would talk about maybe Amy Cooper because she got totally canceled, right? Yeah. So there's going to be times where I'm just going to give you a break from seeing yourself. So you can take off your, you can turn off your camera, and if you need a break from, and then just work. And then I'm going to call you back in 5 minutes. Okay. All right, Elise, what about you?
Okay, I don't think I'll be able to do it in 5 minutes, Miss Kabatu. But also, could you count like paranoia, like as like maybe COVID, or but would that be just like be extra careful kind of things for COVID? Because like they're like, oh, what if everyone has it because you're asymptomatic, right? So like, would it be paranoia, or would you be like considering it, wow, they're just extra careful, you know? What'd you say?
Yeah.
Say about that.
I know my twin works at the hospital, so I'm very careful on what I say to my students. I think this topic of COVID, especially because it's running rampant right now through our community.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if I would label that as paranoia.
Yeah.
So I think that would be a personal choice for you. But maybe what you could talk about would be kind of like the mixed messages that we're getting from the media, or like the propaganda, like, you know, like how you have to like double and triple check your sources of information, especially when you're reading something on the internet.
Oh yeah, okay.
So
yeah.
Talk about like kind of like double speak, or like media bias or something like that. Maybe you could talk about that, like the coconut wireless, right? With
Are we supposed to use like a site?
Yeah.
Oh, what should I do for that?
What did you look up something like that site? Did you find an article?
For what you just said?
Or whatever, I don't know.
I haven't found an article yet.
Okay. For example, like let's just talk about Black Lives Matter, okay? And the stereotypes that go on with like,
oh yeah,
all cops are bad, or all protesters are crazy, right? And all protesters are doing this, or right? You could talk about like maybe stereotypes.
Stereotypes. Okay.
You know what I mean? Like I don't want to give you the answer, but geez, you know.
Yeah, I'll find an article.
Okay, cool.
I may not finish it in 5 minutes though, but you know, or 3 or whatever.
Caleb, you doing okay? Elise, you don't have to finish it in 5 minutes. If you need extra time, just leave this on the side. You're stressing me out.
So if we all don't finish, or if I don't finish either, we can just do this later on and turn it in.
Yeah, but I'm just worried that like if you switch your page, you might lose your information. I don't know how this works because this is, you know, the first time we're.
Okay.
So.
Then we're trying to find an article.
Okay. What is yours? Maybe I can help you.
Women rights.
Say that again.
Women rights.
Oh,
Women rights.
AOC. So AOC just got I guess the word would be accosted. This other man, this other representative called her names. Do you know who AOC is?
No.
Should I type in AOC? She has this speech.
Oh.
Do you know who she is?
Oh, well, no, but I see her now.
Okay, so if you look at, I'm gonna just put the article in the chat so you can kind of look at it. It kind of went viral. She had a response for the man who verbally attacked her.
Oh.
Oh. Everybody else doing okay? That was 5 minutes, by the way. Journey, how you doing? Did you get a chance? Are you done?
No, I'm not done yet.
Okay.
I'm still working on it.
Okay, cool. All right. You know what? Then let's do this because I made the mistake in waiting, trying to wait for majority of the class to finish. And so let's just put this on the side. Okay. Don't like move it because at the end of class, I'll just give you like 10 minutes at the end of class to finish this up and then post it. Okay. Because I don't want you guys to, I want to be with you guys when we go over some of this overture stuff. So what I'll do is just I'll run the let me see this next part through Zoom, and then you guys don't have to touch your canvas. Okay, don't touch your canvas. Okay, so I'm just gonna share my screen. If that's okay with everybody, just have your notebook and then go ahead and turn to page 123 in your textbook, and we're gonna get started. And make sure that you have like 2 column notes going on for your memorable quotes. That's gonna be really important. We're just gonna transition, all right? Because I wanna give you guys some time to go through this, all right? So we'll leave this and then we'll move you guys on. Okay, so just have my screen up and running. Oh, I just accidentally did this. Okay, so just as a heads up, on the announcements, if you guys for some reason get booted off or you guys like somehow need to go back to the recordings of the Zoom meetings, they're right here. Yeah, the Zoom meetings. And what you have here is you have the English 10 playlist. So just look for your class, okay? There's gonna be times when maybe you get booted off or maybe I'll get booted off and then I'll have to just talk to myself, but that's where all the Zoom meetings are downloaded to. Okay, all right. That was just a commercial break. So when you go down, we're going to the overture, okay? So Elise, you with me, girl? Okay, just checking. All right, so if you look, we're going to be reading the overture. All right. It's going to start on page 120. 1 minute and 21 seconds. And so you're going to turn there. So if you guys look, I'm trying to give you as many directions as possible so that nobody is confused. All right. In your notebook, what I'm going to suggest that you do is this. Write down Paris, and then like maybe like 4 spaces down, 4 lines down. Right. Town people, people of the town, people of the town. And then like maybe 4 lines down, John Proctor. And then 4 lines down, Martha Corey. Everybody good? So we're just setting up our notes. Okay, so the direction says that when you're ready to answer these questions, you are going to be copying and pasting these questions into your response box. Okay, what you're gonna eliminate, take out, is this box with the verbal irony, situational irony, and dramatic irony. Okay, just take that out in your response. Okay, and then you have a 3rd question. So there's 3 questions for the overture to help guide you through this. All right. Number 2's question: what is the irony of the Puritans who settled in Salem? Just use 1 detail, okay? And that's going to be a direct quote from the overture. As I explained, as I used the word irony, I gave you just a side note on what they are, but basically, we're going to be looking at verbal irony, actually all 3. Okay, verbal irony, when the speaker is like, the words are actually coming out of their mouth and you know it's not the act, what is actually happening. Situational irony occurs when the actual result of the situation is like flipped. Okay, and so there's the example, right? Family spends a lot of time and money planning the birthday party for their mother to show how much she cares, but what happens, right? They got the dates mixed up, right? Or dramatic irony, right? This is like when you watch Scream. I don't know, Scream's kind of an old movie. Have you seen Scream? Where like the girl runs up the stairs instead of down and then out the house instead. That's kind of like dramatic irony, right? Okay, so I'm gonna play this for you. Kaolapa, can you just give me a thumbs up if you can hear it after, okay? So I'm gonna start playing this. We are on page 1234.
Before, a candle still burns near the bed, which is at the right.
Sorry,
From a few.
I can't get there. Hang on.
This text.
There you go.
Act 1, an overture. A small upper bedroom in the home of Reverend Samuel Parris, Salem, Massachusetts, in the spring of the year 1692. There is a narrow window at the left. Through its leaded panes, the morning sunlight streams. A candle still burns near the bed, which is at the right. A chest, a chair, and a small table are the other furnishings. At the back, a door opens on the landing of the stairway to the ground floor. The room gives off an air of clean spareness. The roof rafters are exposed, and the wood colors are raw and unmellowed. As the curtain rises, Reverend Parris is discovered kneeling beside the bed, evidently in prayer. His daughter, Betty Parris, age 10, is lying on the bed, inert.
Okay, so I'm stopping right there so you can catch up.
At the time of these
I'm stopping right there so you can catch up with the notes. Right, so where are they? Right, Salem, Massachusetts, 1692. We're grabbing notes right now, right? Details. They're in a bedroom upstairs. Right, we have Reverend Parris, who is the dad to Betty Parris. Betty Parris is 10 years old. She's a girl, okay? Little girl. And she's lying in her bed. So you got that? We're taking quick notes. You should be jotting them down real fast, okay? Moving on.
events, Parris was in his middle 40s. In history, he cut a villainous path, and there is very little good to be said for him. He believed he was being persecuted wherever he went, despite his best efforts to win people and God to his side. In meeting, he felt insulted if someone rose to shut the door without first asking his permission. He was a widower with no interest in children or talent with them. He regarded them as young adults, and until this strange crisis, he, like the rest of Salem, never conceived that the children were anything but thankful for being permitted to walk straight, eyes slightly lowered, arms at the sides, and mouths shut until bidden to speak. His house stood in the town, but we today would hardly call it a village. The meeting house was nearby, and from this point outward, toward the bay or inland, there were a few small windowed, dark houses snuggling against the raw Massachusetts winter. Salem had been established hardly 40 years before. To the European world, the whole province was a barbaric frontier inhabited by a sect of fanatics who, nevertheless, were shipping out products of slowly increasing quantity and value. No one can really know what their lives were like. They had no novelists and would not have permitted anyone to read a novel if one were handy. Their creed forbade anything resembling a theater or vain enjoyment. They did not celebrate Christmas, and a holiday from work meant only that they must concentrate even more upon prayer.
All right. What detail tells you that Reverend Paris is a kind of a paranoid man?
He believed he was being prosecuted wherever he went.
Right. Easily playing the victim, right? So that alone is going to cause some disruption in the community. Okay? So he feels like people are out to get him. Can you imagine feeling that way? You just feel paranoid 24/7. Okay. What else? When you guys went through the slides, you saw how bare bones like the houses are, right? They're really not, there's no decoration. Everything has a function. There's no like aesthetics, right? Everything is used for a reason, and that reason is to survive. Okay. What do we know about this town? Journey, what do we know about this town? Okay, somebody else. Tiari, what do we know about this town and the people?
Isn't it like small? There's not that many people, right?
Right. It's like a really small town. Like you blink and you pass it, right? There's very few people, so they know each other, right? Okay. And then another thing, right, that they didn't have time to enjoy, right? If you had time to, I don't know, be entertained, then you had time to what? What was the expectation? Jaden, what is?
Excuse me? I am sorry, I didn't hear your...
If you have time to like play or to go watch something at the theater, whatever, then what was your expectation? You use that time to what?
Pray to God, or like worship God.
Right, very good. Okay, so there was none of that, not even celebrating Christmas, which is very interesting. Okay, so you guys understand the level of sacredness that is within this town, right? The level of religion. Okay, we're continuing. Everybody good? You caught up on your notes? I'm stopping so that you guys can catch up on your notes. Okay, here we go.
Which is not to say that nothing broke into this strict and somber way of life. When a new farmhouse was built, friends assembled to raise the roof, and there would be special foods cooked and probably some potent cider passed around. There was a good supply of ne'er-do-wells in Salem, who dallied at the shovelboard in Bridget Bishop's tavern. Probably more than the creed, hard work kept the morals of the place from spoiling, for the people were forced to fight the land like heroes for every grain of corn, and no man had very much time for fooling around. That there were some jokers, however, is indicated by the practice of appointing a two-man patrol whose duty was to walk forth in the time of God's worship, to take notice of such as either lie about the meeting house without attending to the word and ordinances, or that lie at home or in the fields without giving good account thereof, and to take the names of such persons, and to present them to the magistrates, whereby they may be accordingly proceeded against. This predilection for minding other people's business was time-honored among the people of Salem, and it undoubtedly created many of the suspicions which were to feed the coming madness. It was also, in my opinion, one of the things that a John Proctor would rebel against, for the time of the armed camp had almost passed, and since the country was reasonably, although not wholly, safe, the old disciplines were beginning to rankle. But as in all such matters, the issue was not clear-cut, for danger was still a possibility, and in unity still lay the best promise of safety.
Okay, so we have a John Proctor. What is John Proctor like? Okay, Micaiah?
Rebel.
He's a what? Rebel. Okay. Right. He doesn't like people who what? Micaiah? He doesn't like people who
Doesn't like what?
What does John Proctor dislike about his community?
Oh, how it was like so, like clean cut and safe.
Yeah. It talks about how there was this predilection for minding other people's business. So like when we think about small towns, you know how everybody knows each other's business, kind of like Hilo or maybe smaller towns, yeah, wherever you guys live. But people know each other's business, right? He doesn't like that. He dislikes that about his community, and he's definitely a rebel. But he wants to be an outlier. He doesn't want to cave in. Okay, so know that about John Proctor because it's very important in this play. All right, we're going to continue. We're at like the edge of wilderness close by. Okay, everybody good?
The edge of the wilderness was close by. The American continent stretched endlessly west, and it was full of mystery for them. It stood, dark and threatening, over their shoulders night and day, for out of it Indian tribes marauded from time to time, and Reverend Paris had parishioners who had lost relatives to these heathen. The parochial snobbery of these people was partly responsible for their failure to convert the Indians. Probably they also preferred to take land from heathens rather than from fellow Christians. At any rate, very few Indians were converted, and the Salem folk believed that the virgin forest was the devil's last preserve, his home base, and the citadel of his final stand. To the best of their knowledge, the American forest was the last place on earth that was not paying homage to God. For these reasons, among others, they carried about an air of innate resistance, even of persecution. Their fathers had, of course, been persecuted in England, so now they and their church found it necessary to deny any other sect its freedom, lest their New Jerusalem be defiled and corrupted by wrong ways and deceitful ideas.
Okay, so what do we know about the people of Salem? What was their initial reason for being there? Okay, let's go with Dylan. What do you know about this? Why did these people come to Salem?
He said for shipping out supplies and freedom.
Okay, very good, right? The freedom, especially because they disagreed with the Church of England, right? They wanted it to be pure. Okay, so what did they do in turn? They settled in, right, somebody else's land, and then what happened? What did they try to do to the natives or the indigenous people of the land.
They try to convert them to the religion,
Okay.
but keep failing.
And then were they successful?
What? You were cutting out. No, they weren't successful.
No, they weren't, right? So they had little success, right, in converting the Indians that were around Salem. Okay, all right. And then there's this thing that's going on. Autumn, what do you know about how the Puritans viewed the Indians of the area of Salem?
About the Salem folk, they believe that the virgin forest is the devil's last preserve.
Right. So they had their misconceptions about other people, right? So there's definitely this like culture clash between the Puritans and their ideas and expectations and their cultural beliefs versus what's going on with the indigenous people. So that's definitely I guess one of the ways that they're saying why it's important to stick together as a group, right? Because there's this outside threat. The irony of that, yeah. There's an outside threat of Indians coming in, right? From the devil's land. Okay, I know that sounds really crazy. It's like hard for me to even say that. So anyway, let's continue. We're on page 1236 at the top.
They believed, in short, that they held in their steady hands the candle that would light the world. We have inherited this belief, and it has helped and hurt us. It helped them with the discipline it gave them. They were a dedicated folk by and large, and they had to be to survive the life they had chosen or been born into in this country. The proof of their belief's value to them may be taken from the opposite character of the first Jamestown settlement, farther south in Virginia. The Englishmen who landed there were motivated mainly by a hunt for profit. They had thought to pick off the wealth of the new country and then return rich to England. They were a band of individualists and a much more ingratiating group than the Massachusetts men, but Virginia destroyed them. Massachusetts tried to kill off the Puritans, but they combined. They set up a communal society which, in the beginning, was little more than an armed camp with an autocratic and very devoted leadership. It was, however, an autocracy by consent, for they were united from top to bottom by a commonly held ideology whose perpetuation was the reason and justification for all their sufferings. So their self-denial, their purposefulness, their suspicion of all vain pursuits, their hard-handed justice were altogether perfect instruments for the conquest of this space so antagonistic to man. But the people of Salem in 1692 were not quite the dedicated folk that arrived on the Mayflower. A vast differentiation had taken place, and in their own time a revolution had unseated the royal government and substituted a junta which was at this moment in power. The times, to their eyes, must have been out of joint, and to the common folk must have seemed as insoluble and complicated as do ours today. It is not hard to see how easily many could have been led to believe that the time of confusion had been brought upon them by deep and darkling forces. No hint of such speculation appears on the court record, but social disorder in any age breeds such mystical suspicions, and when, as in Salem, wonders are brought forth from below the social surface, it is too much to expect people to hold back very long from laying on the victims with all the force of their frustrations.
Okay, that was a lot. Holy smokes. So, let's summarize this. Right? How does Arthur Miller right? So they weren't as like dedicated as the initial settlers. right? But what were they like? Okay, so at first, there was mention of like this autocracy. Does anybody know what autocracy is? Just wondering. No? Yes?
Isn't it when just one person is in control of everyone else?
Nice. Okay, so there's kind of like this switch, right? Where instead of an autocracy, they changed to like this communal society. Communal in meaning what? Does anybody know what communal means? Yeah, communal. So it's kind of like when you go camping at Hapuna Beach and there's a communal kitchen where everybody can use it. That's what communal means. So they went from kind of like an autocracy to this communal society where we gotta stick together in order to survive with our lives and with our religious beliefs, basically. Okay, so just to summarize what that's like, right? So what happens if you start to have your own thoughts, right? That's the question. Go ahead and write that question down. What happens when you break out of this communal society, right? What happens when you do not conform with the rest of your community? Okay, because that's going to drive this entire play. Okay, we're going to start. I'm going to just play this through just until Tituba starts talking, okay? Here we go. We're at the very bottom, last paragraph on page 1236.
The Salem tragedy, which is about to begin in these pages, developed from a paradox. It is a paradox in whose grip we still live, and there is no prospect yet that we will discover its resolution. Simply, it was this. For good purposes, even high purposes, the people of Salem developed a theocracy, a combine of state and religious power, whose function was to keep the community together and to prevent any kind of disunity that might open it to destruction by material or ideological enemies. It was forged for a necessary purpose and accomplished that purpose. But all organization is and must be grounded on the idea of exclusion and prohibition, just as two objects cannot occupy the same space. Evidently, the time came in New England when the repressions of order were heavier than seemed warranted by the dangers against which the order was organized. The witch hunt was a perverse manifestation of the panic which set in among all classes when the balance began to turn toward greater individual freedom. When one rises above the individual villainy displayed, one can only pity them all, just as we shall be pitied some day. It is still impossible for man to organize his social life without repressions, and the balance has yet to be struck between order and freedom. The witch hunt was not, however, a mere repression. It was also, and as importantly, a long overdue opportunity for everyone so inclined to express publicly his guilt and sins under the cover of accusations against the victims. It suddenly became possible, and patriotic and holy, for a man to say that Martha Corey had come into his bedroom at night, and that while his wife was sleeping at his side, Martha laid herself down on his chest and nearly suffocated him. Of course, it was her spirit only, but his satisfaction at confessing himself was no lighter than if it had been Martha herself. One could not ordinarily speak such things in public. Long-held hatreds of neighbors could now be openly expressed and vengeance taken, despite the Bible's charitable injunctions. Land lust, which had been expressed before by constant bickering over boundaries and deeds, could now be elevated to the arena of morality. One could cry witch against one's neighbor and feel perfectly justified in the bargain. Old scores could be settled on a plane of heavenly combat between Lucifer and the Lord. Suspicions and the envy of the miserable toward the happy could and did burst out in the general revenge.
All right. What did we just find out in that paragraph? if you had a problem with your neighbor, Linny, what could you do? Yeah.
You can you can have revenge on them and stuff, or take vengeance on them.
Okay, how? What would somebody do in this society?
Oh, one could cry witch.
Yeah, you're a witch, right? And so you guys remember going back to the slides? You need 2 people to confirm that you're a witch, right? But if you are accused of being a witch, right? How do you get out of that, right? You have to either confess, right? And say, okay, I'm a witch, right? And then they're like, okay, repent. And then you're good. But if you refuse because you have this thing called character, right? Then what? What would you do? Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing my, oh, well, what would you do, right? Would you tell the truth and you say that this person is lying, right? How could you fight that? It's nearly impossible, okay? So this is the start of Act 1, okay? If you guys look at my screen, okay, we just went over questions 1, 2, and 3. So that's going to be yours. Everybody can handle doing that, okay? You might have to dig a little bit for question number 2, but that's pretty self-explanatory, okay? When we go to the next thing that you need to do, okay, that would be your CER assignment. So here's where Act 1 starts. What I'm gonna have you do is do a 2-column notes thing in your notebook, okay? And then you're gonna go all the way, you're gonna take notes, and then you're going all the way to the end of Act 1, which is 1263, page 1263. Your prompt is at the bottom, okay? And this CER is going to be 3 paragraphs, okay? And the reason why is you have to further explain yourself, so it's going to be a little bit longer explanation. The question is, who or what is to blame for the start of hysteria in Salem in 1692? So, can it be a person? Yes. Could it be a mindset? Maybe, right? You get to choose, right? But what do you need? You need evidence. Okay, you gotta say on page blah 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 in Act 1, Reverend Paris states blah blah blah, right? So make sure you do that. It's worth 20 points. I gotta fix the oh no, I did. It's worth 20 points. Please follow the rubric. Okay, when I go to the next thing, I want you guys to drop in your final draft of your 30 truths, and then we'll talk about it the next class next week, okay? So with the 30 truths, I really want you guys to look at the intent behind each truth, and then also the wording, right? Sometimes we like to over-explain ourselves when if we just be more particular about the words we choose, we can make it a little bit more powerful, okay? So go ahead and clean up those 30 truths, and then you're going to upload here. Okay, any questions on what you're doing for this week? Elise?
Can I like stay after classes finish and ask you? Because you know that might be a long time, you know.
Yeah.
Long time. Let's just say.
Okay. So again, the way I've designed my classes is that each module is a week. Okay?
Okay.
You need to finish it like that Sunday night before midnight. Okay, everybody clear on that?
Okay.
Act 1 is yours. Take notes. That CER is a good one. Okay, can't wait to read your who's to blame or what is to blame for the hysteria. Okay, if you guys have other questions, then just stay on with me. Don't forget to finish your response. Okay, all right. Nice seeing you guys. Take care. Be safe. Don't touch your face. Okay.
Okay, Miss Kabutu. Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so like in the part.
Yes.
Starting from, wait, let me find. Well, I don't really get the whole reading, so it's just gonna be like a whole thing.
Mm-hmm. Fast for you, so you have to go back and just read it on your own. And what you're gonna do is just chunk each paragraph and say, okay, I think it's talking about this. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Yeah. That's the easiest way to do that. Like the overture starts with the setting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's the first paragraph. Then we get into like at the time of these events, then we're talking about Paris's details.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? Like if you follow along in each paragraph, look for the topic that they're talking about. That's the easiest way. All right. The diction or like how they speak is kind of is in 1692, so it's kind of a weird way to talk about things, and it's very wordy, and it's done for a reason, right? So you have to put yourself into Arthur Miller's position and know that he is writing actually about the Red Scare here, right? So just be aware of that.
Okay, wait. So everything's due on Sunday.
Yes.
Okay, so for the CER assignment, I don't know if it's actually, it says it's late on my side.
Okay, I gotta fix those So I think your parents are getting emails saying that something's late, but it's not. So just tell them that I'm just fixing the due date. So sorry about that. Okay. Yes, Miss Lindsay.
I have a D.
Okay.
Yeah, how come I got a 0 out of 10?
For?
The discussion. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, you know what? I'm just gonna take notes and then I will email you because I don't want to keep everybody on. Okay, so Lindsay. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else for that?
Mm-mm.
I have a D too.
Autumn. Yes. Why? What are you missing?
It says
Well, bye, Miss Kabutu. I'm gonna figure it out, I hope.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I hope.
Cool.
Okay, so I can go too then, since you're just gonna email me?
Yeah, Lindsay. Bye.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Have a great time, I guess.
the discussion on the Crucible hole.
Okay. Yeah, let me just open it. Did you post one? When was that?
Yeah, I posted it on Sunday or Saturday.
Okay, hang on. I checked it on Sunday afternoon, so if you had posted after that, then I didn't get it. I didn't, let me see.
I don't remember.
Wait, where are you? There. Yeah, I didn't grade it yet.
Oh, okay.
Well, if you did it, but you don't have a grade, it's because I was done grading yesterday, and so I'll go back and grade it. Okay, so no big worries.
Okay, thank you.
I'm gonna get a D right now because there's only 3 grades. So if you miss one, it already, sends it to poop. Okay. All right.
Too. The Crucible slides and the discussion, I don't have anything.
Oh, what do you need?
The Crucible slides and in the discussion, so I have an F.
Oh. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I have to go back and grade it. Okay, anything else?
Will you be on tomorrow doing
class? Yeah, and so remember, tomorrow's kind of a funky schedule because they have Ho'ola in the beginning. You know how you had the financial aid,
Yeah.
financial literacy, it's not financial aid. Right, the course. So now the upperclassmen have that course, so now everything's pushed back one block.
Oh, okay.
Did you get that email?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, Cass, we live on emails. It's so crazy. How many emails do you get a day?
More than 20.
Yeah, it's berserker. Yeah, so it's really important. Did you get your planner?
Yes.
Yeah, that should be like your baby blanket, okay? No pun intended. Okay, you gotta like write in it.
Yeah, I do. I was tripping out because like my other class, my teacher still didn't change my grade.
Oh.
And then my mom got notified, and she always checks every single day.
Oh wow.
So she's always telling me, "You have an F," and I was like, "What do you mean? I did all the work."
Yeah.
So
So
I was
that I have.
yeah, okay.
Okay.
I was just checking on that because
do you need to know anything else? Like you're doing your membeing though all on Monday, so all good.
yeah. Well, I tried today because I have like an appointment.
Okay.
I'll do my best to get that done.
Okay.
And then if anything, so tomorrow you'll be at 1:20 then?
So I will be at 1:20.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have everything, I'll just ask you then. Oh, and then
you want me to set up an appointment with you so it pops up on your screen or no?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Do that.
It's like, ooh, it's so much. I don't know. So the women's rights thing.
Yeah. Okay, so I don't know. AOC gets like pulled off on the steps. Like there's a video, like you can watch it even, and he basically calls her like these horrible names. And like the time for men to continually like put women down like has to stop already. Like that's old. Like we're not living back in the time when we don't have a right to vote. We make lots of money. We do things, right? There's a dip. So what she did was she went on in the house and gave this beautiful speech. Have you seen it?
I was actually gonna watch the video right after.
Do it. You should watch it with your mom. You know, like it's so good. And the reason why is because, he has a wife. He has a daughter. And so would you like another man to do that to your own daughter? Like you did that to everybody's daughter. You did that to everybody's mother. And she will go on about that. But what happens is, like, the public gets behind her. Alexandra Cortez, Ocasio-Cortez. Okay. Do you have Netflix?
Yeah.
There's a special on her. I mean, like, she got into the House of Representatives at 29 years old. Yeah, there's a whole story behind her. Anyway, go see that, okay? And then you can use that article to further explain why there's this like lesson of maybe feminism, but maybe that people should be treated equally, right?
Yeah.
Or now's the time for respect because clearly there hasn't been respect,
Yeah, because I was looking at how back then, like, also black women too. Like, do you know that one movie, the one like they were working with like, I don't know, not spaceship or whatever.
Yeah, NASA.
You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, NASA. That's what I'm talking
I
about.
love that show.
I didn't get to watch it, but I heard it was really good. But then they didn't even one of the black ladies even use the bathroom, and she had to run all the way across just to use the black's bathroom. And I was like, that's kind of crazy because wasn't she really important too?
Yeah, she was.
Help. Yeah, I was like, that's kind of crazy. So I was gonna try like just women's rights in general, like how them too.
So, what you did was you zoned in onto like the issue of feminism, which was fine, but sometimes you have to zoom out because maybe you went too close. Because when you look at the 1950s, it was more like if Joe McCarthy wanted to go after you, he would just accuse you, right? And so you might have to zoom out and of the topic and say like being respectful towards everyone. So like maybe equality would work, and then you can add in how it is now to stop with that behavior. And Alexandria put an end to that. She called out basically like the white men. Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah.
that's old. Bye. You know, and like she totally, but she said it in a very articulate way. I'm not doing it any justice. So yeah, enjoy it. Yeah, and then your response should be about 5 to 6 sentences. Don't go crazy because it's just it's a practice before you get to the CER for Act 1. Because Act 1's CER is massive. Like you're gonna have to do a good job with that. Okay?
So is the one due on
Sunday.
Yeah. Okay. Because I was like, you said you're gonna give us 10 minutes after, but I have to be in the next Zoom, and I was like,
yeah,
I don't
no. And you know what? I have to be in the next Zoom. Okay.
Thank you.
No problem.